everyone, this is Mugdha Pradhan and I'm really excited about this month's live cooking demo because what we are doing is we are elevating your junk food, your favorite foods like samosas and aloo bhajjias, which are so good when it's raining. What we are making today is we're turning junk samosa into healthy samosa. We are going to turn junk onion bhaji or kanda bhaji and make it healthy, and then we're going to turn the batata vada, the vada that's there in your vada pav, we're going to make that healthy as well, and it is possible. A lot of people were surprised when I said we are going to teach you how to make these healthy. So just stay with me. We're going to start off with the onion bhaji first, and then we're going to go on to the batata vada, and then we're going to do samosa in the end because I know everyone's here for the samosas. So I'm really happy all of you are here. Quick sound check. Anyone who's in the audience, if you could just let the team know if you can hear me, if you can see me loud and clear. A quick comment would be really good. And I am excited to get started. We might not even need an hour because this stuff is so easy, it's really, really easy. And before I begin, I have to do what most professional chefs do. I have to get into my chef mode, which is wear an apron to prevent all those icky splatters on my clothes. And then, thanks Avneet, I'm glad you can hear me. Alright, so apron, and then I don't know where my clip is because I would have liked to tie my hair because I don't want hair in food. And that's why my team is so awesome because I got my clip. Alright, so let's get started. No hair in food ever, no one likes that. Alright, so we're going to get started with kanda bhaji, and our biggest tool in making your street food healthy is this appliance called as an oven. You could have a small version like this, you could have a bigger one, a larger one, you could have one of those built-in stuff, but this oven is really what's going to help us make these foods really healthy, because what we're going to do is we're going to avoid using refined oils completely. Now the reason why these foods are unhealthy, or why I would call them unhealthy, are the ingredients that are used in them, right? It's not the food itself. But when you're deep frying things like samosas and onion bhajis and batata or any other deep fried food in refined oil, and then you're eating that refined oil is going to trigger insulin resistance in your body because it's going to indicate I'll get a little technical here, but it's refined oils, it's the polyunsaturated fatty acids that really trigger insulin resistance, which is what makes a lot of people sick and which is the root cause of diabetes also that we're seeing in India. So the entire epidemic of diabetes can so easily be reversed if people just avoid refined oils and processed food and sugar and stuff like that. So today we're going to teach you how to make food that you really like without using the refined oil. Alright? So let's get started. What we need for your kanda bhaji, onion bhaji, khekra bhaji, I don't know, whatever else you want to call it, is chopped onions. Now, we've sliced onions thinly, longitudinally, if that's a word, but they're nice and thinly sliced onions. And I'm going to take some of these. In this container. I will need some water for the process. So some onions, and then I'm going to add spices to it. So now this can really be specific to what spices you like, but I like having ajwain. It's called ova in Marathi, ajwain in Hindi, and I don't know what in English, but carom seeds, thank you. If you're somebody who likes onion bhaji, you will know what ajwain and ova means. So I'm using some ajwain. And then I will use some coriander powder, also called as dhania powder. A little bit of jeera powder. And then some chili powder. We are also going to put green chilies, but I'm also going to put some red chili powder because that gives a really nice color to the final product. And then some turmeric. Now with turmeric, this is something that I learned recently. Turmeric is very, very high in oxalates. Like 100 grams of turmeric can give you 2000 milligrams of oxalates. So be a little judicious with turmeric. Use as little of it as possible. One way to get color in your food and avoid oxalates if you want to use turmeric, is you use curcumin, where the only the yellow color is there, but the other root extract and the root parts are not there. So that apparently reduces the oxalate content a little bit. All right, and then some salt. So when we email the recipes to you, which is what we did with the last workshop also, we'll give you the exact quantity of what you should be putting, like how much onion to how much basin and what spices and salt and all of that. We'll give you a list of all the ingredients when we email the recipes to you. If you have not registered for the event on Facebook, where you've not given us your email ID or your phone number, please make sure you leave that in the comment section so that we can send the recipe booklet to you. Because especially with the samosa recipe, the ingredients and the measurement of those ingredients becomes important. Alright, so this is what the onions with spices looks like, and then I'm going to just chop some coriander and chili and add it as well. I really like the taste of fresh coriander. And then I have some green chilies that I'm chopping as well. So that's green chilies, that's coriander. Now, it's very hard to make this without using my hands, okay? There's only so much I can do with a spoon, so I am going to resort to using my hands to mix this. My hands are absolutely clean. This is just for reassuring the team that's sitting here and that's going to eat this after we finish making it. My hands are clean. They've been washed. They've not been sanitized because I don't want toxins going into my skin. Alright, and then the last thing that we're adding to this is some besan, chickpea flour. Yeah. This is what really brings everything together, binds the onion together, gives it that nice mouthy flavor. Now what my grandmom used to do is she used to just make this mix, and she used to let this sit for about an hour or so, and what would happen is the salt would make the onion start losing its moisture, and that onion's water would start binding with the basin, and on its own it would become this really nice thick batter kind of a thing. She wouldn't add any extra water, but she had all the time in the world to do this with her recipes. We don't have so much time, so I am going to add a little water here. And now I'm going to go back to my spoon. Okay, so I'm mixing this. Now, depending on how crunchy you like your bhajis, or do you want it to be more, like more of a mouthful with more basin coming in, you can change the texture of this also. That's the best part about a lot of Indian recipes. You can customize it to whatever degree you want. I want to add a little more basin because I like the binding that it will provide. Alright, so this is your onion bhaji mix. It's ready. I am going to follow my grandmom's method a little bit, and I'm going to let it sit, because what happens is the onion flavors really merge with the basin and all the other spices well, and it really tastes so much better. Okay, so I'm keeping this on the side, and then we'll use the oven all at one time for all of these recipes together. Okay, so this is mixed. This is what it looks like. For you guys on Insta, this is what it looks like. And let's just keep it aside. Alright. Now moving on to the next one, which is Batavadas. You can keep this there. Thank you. I told you these recipes are so simple. It's going to be done in less than 30 minutes, I think, except for the baking time. Alright, so before I begin with the potato stuffing, I want to get my base and outer covering ready. So here's what I'm doing. I take some besan. I'm adding a little turmeric to that as well. Some salt. Some of the ajwain that I spoke of earlier. And a little bit of chili powder. I like spicy food. You can skip the chili powder if you want to. Totally your call. Okay, so this is the basin with all the spices and the salt and everything. And what we're doing next is also, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments because the team is right here. They're watching this live as well. And they'll pass on your questions to me and I can answer them as we go. So, any questions? I mean, questions around diabetes, questions around. So, while we are doing this, I just want to give you a quick intro to what we do and the reason why we thought of doing this event. I am the founder of ThriveFNC, which stands for Thrive Functional Nutrition Coaching. And what we do is we reverse chronic health conditions. And when I say chronic health conditions, I am literally anything, right? So diabetes, high BP, PCOD, PCOS, migraines, excess weight. I mean, excess weight is another chronic condition. So whatever chronic health issues somebody might have, whether it is gout or whether it is reproductive issues or anything else, right? We work on reversing those. We do that by finding root causes. Like if somebody has diabetes, why did they get diabetes in the first place is a question we ask. And often we found that a lot of people who have a lot of these diseases have similar kinds of biochemistry going on. They have insulin resistance, they have high levels of inflammation, they have many deficiencies that are there in the body. So one of the easiest ways, like I spoke of when we were talking of the aloo bhaji, one of the easiest ways to start working on reversing insulin resistance is start avoiding refined oils. And our vision at Thrive, my own personal vision and Thrive's vision and the entire team's vision is that we heal 1 million people. And it's not a cakewalk to actually reach out to 1 million people and heal them. So we thought of starting these events where we could simply teach you what it means to eat a little bit healthier, so that you can start taking these small steps on your own at home, and you might actually be able to see a lot of difference in your life just by doing that. So that's why we do these events. Besides which, I really love cooking. It's the reason why I chose nutrition. I know I chose nutrition for all the wrong reasons. People choose nutrition because they want to learn about nutrition. I chose nutrition because I wanted to learn cooking. Okay, someone saying the video is not clear. I can't really help that. Usually, we've done these live events with my webcam, which crashed yesterday for no apparent reason. Maybe the new moon had to do something with it. I mean, had something to do with it. So we're using a laptop's camera, and that's not usually the best resolution, right? But I'm really sorry. There's nothing I can do about the camera. Where to get exact ingredients? We'll be emailing. So like I said, if you've left your email ID in the comment section or if you've registered on the ad that was running, we have your email ID already. And from there, we will be sending you the actual exact ingredients. We usually send that out by Tuesday. So it takes us 1 day to make all of the nice pretty picture color document and send it. So by Tuesday, we send that email out. Alright, so this covering for the batata vada is ready. This is the texture I would like. If you make it too thick, what will happen is when you mash the potatoes and dip it into it, you just stick to that and then you'll have to spend a lot of time trying to get the potato out of it. Alright, so this is a texture. I mean, this is the batter consistency that I would recommend. Next, we get on to make the filling. So I have potatoes which we boiled earlier in the day. I'm going to use 2 potatoes and then I'm going to add spices to that again. So there's some salt. So a note about potatoes, okay? So like I spoke of oxalates and turmeric, potatoes are also very high in oxalates. So if you're somebody who has a tendency to form kidney stones, or if you're somebody who gets these unidentifiable sudden poking kind of pains in different parts of your body, it could be an oxalate issue. A lot of women experience oxalate problems with pain around the pelvic region because the kidneys from where your body is trying to excrete oxalates, and sometimes the oxalate buildup happens around the kidneys itself, and then they experience pain in the pelvic floor. So if you're somebody who has oxalate issues, I would recommend avoiding potatoes and sweet potatoes both. They are very high in oxalates. Or if you at all are having those, then use something along with it that will bind to those oxalates, right? So things like calcium citrate or just having high calcium foods at that time, bone broth or bone meal powder or something like that will help in binding those oxalates and prevent them from actually affecting your body. Alright, so I'm adding some chili powder here as well. And then I like the taste of coriander seeds. For those of you who want to see what it is, these are coriander seeds. So I just like the taste of these coriander seeds in my patata vada. So I'm just crushing them in my hand, putting them. No, you know what? I grew up in Whitefield, Bangalore, which is a really remote village, and I didn't know what batata vadas were until I moved to Pune, I think. And everybody, like all my friends, used to have vada pav. I was like, what is this? And then I found out there's this thing called as batata vada, which tastes really yummy. I ate a lot of those, which is why I probably reached 97 kgs. So I was 97 kgs in 2016. For those of you who are seeing me for the first time, might not know this little factoid. And what saved my life was functional nutrition itself because I had an autoimmune thyroid condition, I had diabetes, and many things going on. But functional nutrition is what really helped save my life. So these are the dry spices. I'm also adding some chopped coriander that we had chopped earlier. And some chilies which are gone hiding. Okay, so a couple of chopped chilies there. If you have a potato masher, it's going to make the next step really easy. If you don't, you're going to do what I'm going to do right now, which is struggle with a little force. How many of you are here at the event because you registered on the Facebook ad, and how many of you, like, if you could just like put that in the comments. Okay, so this is the filling for the batata vada that's ready. Right, so this is good to go. I'm just going to do a taste check for some salt. Alright. Like the onion bhaji, we're going to bake them in the end with all the other items together. So I'm going to keep this aside until we're ready for baking it. Okay, so the batata filling is ready along with the base and coating. We're keeping it aside. We'll come to it in the end. And now we'll get on with the samosa, which is what most of you have been waiting for. Because how do you make gluten-free samosas, right? How do you make samosas without maida? Is the question that everyone has because the entire crust of traditional samosas is made with maida. So before we go on to making the crust, we'll first make the samosa filling and keep that ready, and then we'll go on to making the crust. Okay, and that's why we need this gas stove here. So take a thick bottom steel utensil. Why steel? Well, I've spoken about this in the past as well. That we don't really want any toxins coming into our body through food. So We want to make sure that we use the least reactive or the most non-reactive utensils when we are making our food. So all your non-toxic cookware is really, really bad for your health because that sends in so many carcinogenic compounds. Aluminium is not good either because aluminium can leach into your food and then it's been shown to deposit in the body and compete with zinc. So steel is what we recommend even to our patients that use steel instead of any other metal. Okay, once this is sufficiently hot, do we have jeera here? Okay, so my jeera is missing, but ideally, like just give a dry tadka of jeera. And how do you give a dry tadka? Is you just heat your pan, and once it's really, really hot, in that hot pan, you just put whatever dry spices you want to put, that the ones that you typically use for tadka. So since we don't have jeera, whole jeera right now here, we'll be using jeera powder, but we'll put that once we put our potatoes in. Um, so typically you use jeera, and then on that I'm putting this chopped onion. So again, how you want to make your samosa stuffing is really up to you. Some people just like potatoes with not too many spices in it. Some people like a slightly sweeter stuffing, which you could do using dates and very minimal spices. Some people like really, really spicy stuffing. So yeah, I know video is not clear, Manisha. It's a problem that we experienced just before we started the session. One of our cameras crashed, so we're using a laptop camera to do this. But I hope my audio is clear because even those instructions might help. What I can do is I can just take the kadai closer to the camera and help you see what it looks like. Okay. So this is what a dry roasted onion looks like. And why do we dry roast? Because we want to avoid refined oils completely. And people think that without oil you won't really get flavor, but you do. You get all the flavor that you need even without oil. Okay, so the onions are looking partially cooked. What I'm going to do is I'm going to okay, don't fall plate. I'm going to put in some ginger garlic paste that I pre-made and kept. So it's organic ginger, organic garlic, and it's just in equal proportions. And a couple of spoons of that. I really love the flavor that ginger garlic brings into food. And as that roasts, I'm adding a few peas. Again, I like peas in my samosa filling. If you don't like peas, you can completely avoid peas. That's your call. I'm adding a few peas here. And then for the peas to cook, I'm going to add some water. Okay, so these peas are going to cook, and even if they're not fully cooked in this step, that's okay because we're going to bake the samosas again, right? So whatever vegetables are inside the samosa are going to cook once more. Okay, and then once this is done, I'm going to add the other spices to it. So we have chili powder again. There's coriander powder. And there's some jeera or cumin powder that I'm adding for flavor as well. Some turmeric. Again, people can opt to leave turmeric out if you want a whiter looking filling inside. And what really brings a lot of flavor in the samosas I make is pudina. Like people might be surprised about putting pudina in samosas, but it really brings out a nice, different minty flavor. I don't even bother cutting pudina leaves with a knife. You can just use your fingers and cut them into small pieces. Alright, so that is that. Okay. We need to chop some coriander. Let's see if I can use my fingers to do this as well. Yep. See, the human hands are multifunctional. You can rip coriander and pudina into pieces. And also you can climb trees and walls with it. And also you can slap someone who's being really annoying to you. So multifunctional hands. Alright. So that's some pudina, that's some coriander. I'm putting in some green chilies because why wouldn't you want green chilies in your samosa? And then the last thing I'm doing is I'm adding some boiled potatoes. Like for the batata vada and for this we'd already boiled potatoes in advance. So I'm adding these boiled potatoes. And the same technique that we used for that, I'm going to mash these. Now you can leave it chunky, you can again mash it really well, that's up to you. If you want a sweeter filling at this point, you could add some dates into this. So that can bring in a hint of sweetness. You could add some amchur powder if you like a nice tangy filling. Alright, so this is done. This is what the samosa filling looks like. I'm bringing it close to the camera so that you can see it. And this is for you IG people. This is so cool, right? I can live stream to so many platforms at the same time, and I promise I'll get the camera fixed before the next session. It was absolutely unanticipated. Alright, so this is done. I'm just going to let it cook for a couple of minutes while I clear up the space because now we're going to make the samosa crust, which is the most interesting aspect of it all. I think we can clear up more of this. Now we just need some. Okay, this is done. This is what it looks like. And I'm going to keep this on the side as well until we need it. So these are all our workstations, okay? We usually use these like with the laptops, we sit here and do work through the day. But right now it's part of the cooking demo and they're all food stations. So, can you pass me a plate? You know, I put chilies in that filling and that's making my throat itch. And it's making me want to cough. But with current, like whatever fear people have about corona, I've become so conscious about coughing that I'm like, if I cough, will somebody think I have corona and will they then take me for testing? So I've been holding off a cough for really long, but no, I don't have corona. Alright. Alright, so I'm putting some salt. Now, this is what we're going to use to make our crust, which is going to be gluten free. We have oat flour. So oats can be made into flour. You can either buy oat flour ready-made from Amazon or Urban Platter or any of these websites. You just Google oat flour India and you'll get it. Or if you have oats at home, steel cut oats is what we prefer. If you have oats at home, you can just put them in the mixer and grind them to a really fine flour and you get oat flour. Why are we using oat flour? Because if you ever made oats, you know how sticky they are, right? So it's very, very good in binding and for recipes that require rolling out dough like a roti. So that's what we're using. We're using oat flour. The quantities is something like I said, we'll email those to you because I'm just cooking with whatever ingredients I have right now. We'll give you quantities according to portion size when we email the recipes. So some oat flour. And then we are using some rice flour. Again, rice flour, especially white rice flour is actually not unhealthy the way a lot of like white rice is healthy. People are scared of rice because of the implication of white rice and diabetes and all of that. But white rice is one of the safest carbohydrates to eat because it's really low in any anti-nutrients, and we are using white rice in this recipe again because of its binding properties, because of how it's going to help make a crust. The only disadvantage is your samosas are not going to look as brown as your store-bought samosas, because those are made with maida and they are deep fried, so there's a different chemical reaction that happens in that process. Our samosas are going to be slightly whiter, like fair and lovely samosas. Okay, so let's think of these as fair and lovely samosas. So that's rice flour, that's oat flour. We want to keep the rice flour here because we need it for rolling. And then this is one of my magic ingredients when it comes to cooking gluten free. It's potato flour. So people have actually managed to make flour out of potatoes. You'll get it very easily on Amazon, on online grocery stores. It's not that difficult to find. It's not even expensive. So a couple of teaspoons of this, if it's a larger quantity, in this small quantity of dough, I'm just going to add 1 teaspoon. What potato flour does is it holds on to moisture. So it really makes your baked goods and your gluten-free alternative recipes very, very nice and moist. It holds on to water and again helps in binding and preventing your dough from baking when you're breaking when you're trying to roll it. So potato flour. And the last thing we're adding here is besan, which is chana flour, chickpea flour. And why are we using besan? One is it improves the protein level of your food because it's just got proteins, and then your grains and your legumes together give you better amino acids. And besan also has a very nice flavor when it bakes. So we're just adding it for those reasons. Okay, so this is the mix for the dough. I'll just need some ajwain first. Okay, and I'm adding a little ghee to this because without any kind of fat, this becomes really dry. Okay, so you won't really enjoy it when you bite into it. So I'm adding some ghee to this, and then we're going to add water and then bring it all together. When you're buying ghee, make sure you're buying organic ghee, because ghee from these regular cows, the factory farmed cows, that ghee has a lot of residues. It might have hormone residues, it might have antibiotic residues, it might have other things that are there in it. So it's always better to choose organic when it comes to your food, to make sure you're not exposing yourself to too many toxins from the environment. Alright, so this is mixed. I'm just going to add some water. I have to remove my crystals and keep it aside. If you use some warm water while you're doing this, it's even better, because what heat does is it kind of makes the starch and all your grains become a little bit of a gel, and that just makes the dough much better. So if you can use some warm water to do this, I mean, that's pro tip. You don't need to, but warm water would just make this a little bit better. Alright, so a little more water. A lot of people can't imagine dough being made out of anything other than wheat, atta, or maida. It's totally possible. Look at this. This dough is just coming together just like your regular atta dough. Okay, and I made some dough earlier in the day in the morning as well. I'm going to mix both together so that we can start making a samosa crust. So what brought you all to this demo? Is it just the promise of healthy snacks, or are you like samosa fans, or did you just want to learn new recipes? What brought you here? Let us know in the comments. It will be good to know what's really the reason why you're here. Okay, so this dough is ready. Now I'm going to move everything out of this zone because I need space to roll the dough. Just going to keep these two things. And you need a rolling pin and so take a small portion of the dough, knead it one more time. And this is the last bit, right? After this, we just want to put everything for baking, and then your yummy food is going to be ready. So, I'm just rolling it quite thin. And when you're rolling it, don't make it into a round, make it longitudinal. Okay, so if you notice, this is a rectangular roll of the dough, and there's a reason why we're making rectangles. Now, with this rectangle, use a knife and just cut out the sides. And you can do nice stuff with the sides you're cutting out also, but for now, just cut out the sides. Cut off the top also. And what you get is this rectangular strip, okay, of dough. We're going to keep this, we're going to make one more because we're going to make two samosas today. It's so much fun doing this with you. Okay. What I'm using on to roll it and to make sure it doesn't stick is rice flour. See, this dough is acting just like your regular atta dough. There's literally nothing you miss when you cut out wheat, you know. People think, "Ki, how can I?" But I thought I'm used to rotis and chapatis. We have recipes of pulkas that are made without wheat. Okay, so this is the next one. I'm doing the same thing. I'm cutting out a nice rectangular strip of dough. Alright. So here we are with this. What you can do with these leftover pieces, and if you have dough leftovers, you can just roll it out, cut it into different shapes, make nachos out of them, make biscuits, make crackers that you can eat with some dips. You have like wheat-free crackers that you can eat anytime you are hungry. Okay, so let's get started with our final steps. Yeah, this I baked some dough, leftover dough earlier in the day, and it's little like chips. Okay, so what we're going to do? We'll switch on the oven and make sure it's preheated to maybe around 180, 190 degrees. Again, this temperature and time is something that we will send it to you in the recipe document. How long should you be baking what for? What is the preheating temperature? We'll send all of that to you, so don't worry. Okay. Now, how do you make your samosas? How do you convert these strips into triangles that are filled with yummy sabzi? It's simple. You just take it, you fold, and you fold again, and you get this conical shape. I don't know if you can see it, given that you mentioned the video is not clear. So you get this conical shape, like a mehendi cone, right? And then you take some bhaji, not some bhaji, he was Shivaji's son, but you take some bhajis and you stuff it in. You use a spoon or something. You could use your finger, but then I don't like this thing on my fingers because I want to get the outside of the samosa really nice. Okay, so you get this inside. And then I'm going to use some water to make sure it sticks. Okay, so that is stuck now. Now what I'll do is, samosas have like really thick fat bottoms, right? So to make sure that happens, I'm taking this pyramid and I'm turning it over. And then the edges again, I'm putting some water and just sticking it. That's it. Well, doesn't this samosa look like anything you buy out of the store without you losing your health while you're going to eat? Okay, so this is the first one. Doing the second one again so that in case some of you missed the trick. So you have this rectangular strip, you take about 1/3 of it, you twist it in, you turn it inside, you create this mehendi cone like structure, and you can use water at this step itself to stick it all. And you fill in the aloo sabzi that you have made. You can even make this with minced meat. Like you can do keema samosas. You can just make your minced meat and then instead of the traditional maida wala crust, you just use this crust. And you'll have yummy mutton samosas ready. Mutton, chicken, whatever. I think I'm gonna go do that tomorrow. Okay. And if there are any rips and tears, like this one got a tiny crack, right? So my mom was very good with this repair kind of work. She would call it food repair. So if there are rips and tears, you can just use water to smoothen it out. So water is a great smoothener. Alright, so you have this samosa ready as well. So 2 samosas ready, which we are going to bake. Now let's do the onion bhajis. So this has been soaking for quite a while now. This is like the simplest, right? All you do is take spoonfuls of it and just plonk it on your baking paper. You'll notice we have baking paper. We're not doing things directly on the aluminium tray because we want to make sure that our food doesn't come in contact with aluminium. Okay, so we have baking paper that we're using. So we're going to put this. This is what it looks like. It's nice and marinated in each other. If you have a bigger tray at home, of course, you can bake larger batches. Okay, so this is what it looks like on the baking tray. And the last dish that we're making today is your batata vada. So if you remember, we had made this basin covering for the outside and the potato filling for inside. What we're going to do here is just take a bit of this, make it into a nice ball in your hands, and then make it into a patty. Okay? Looks like this, like a potato cutlet. Put it into this basin mixture, turn it over. So this is what I'm doing. I'm turning this over, and because my basin mixture is nice and liquid, not too liquid, it's thick, but it's also not so thick that it's going to drown the potato. So you see this? I put this in my baking tray. You make one more. So you take this, nice round fat looking potato cutlet. You put it in your basin mixture. Flip it so it's covered on both sides. Okay. And then you just use a spoon for this because if you try to use your hand, the potato will just break down. You put it here. Okay. So this is what it looks like. Your samosas, this is your batata vadas, and that's it. You just pop it in the oven and it's going to bake. And it's going what it looks like once it's done. Okay, I hope I'm back. Alright, yes, I think I'm back in the live broadcast. So this is what it looks like. It's all inside. We're going to bake it for some time, but because just waiting for things to bake and having nothing else to do in the morning, we made one so batata vadas, these are the onion bhajis. They're really, really yummy. Okay, like I'm not even saying this because I made them, but they're really yummy. I'm just going to wipe my hands a little bit. And remember what I said about the samosas? They don't look as brown as your regular samosas would, but they're really tasty. And like you shouldn't be discriminating based on color, right? So color discrimination is really bad. Don't be racist about your samosas. These are good samosas. They just don't look as brown as your regular samosas would do. But these are your batata vadas. You can bake them for a little longer if you want them browner. And these are your bhajiyas. And this is it. This is how you make street food really yummy. It's really easy. It took me like a total of 45 minutes to just show you how to make 3 recipes. Once you get the hang of it, you're going to do it much quicker. Um, by Tuesday, we'll send out all the recipes to you so that you have the exact quantities and proportions. And without the team actually like, standing here and showing you how to do this, but it's only possible because the rest of the team at Thrive was there to support. So we've done this 2 days ago. We've made all these signs. We've made all this fancy setup for you guys so that it will look like a real street food table, So we've done that. It took the team some effort, and without their support, there's no way we can do these live cooking demos. So I just want all of them also to come here and say hi to all of you. Thank you so much for being here. Someone saying wanted to try street food the most healthy way. Yay, great! That's like a great reason to come for this event, Jedaya, because that's the entire intention of doing this. And we have Shivani, and we have Swati, and then we have Riya, who are twinning. I don't know why. It was not planned, but they are twins. They really look like twins right now. So maybe they just wanted to go with the like color theme because they're the ones who made the blackboard. But it's them and it's me, and we did this for you guys. And we do these events every third Saturday of the month. So the last time we done Modaks and the Ganpati sweet. The next one, because in October we have Dasara and Navratri coming up, we're actually going to teach you how to make food that you would eat in fast healthy. So we're going to teach you how to make healthy fasting food without using harmful ingredients. So follow our page, like our page. If you're on Insta, like our page on Insta. If you're on Facebook, like our page, or just subscribe to the YouTube channel because I mean, apart from this, I do a lot of other live sessions which include knowledge sharing. I've started a new series on YouTube called Learn, where I want to really share everything I know about human health there. So I would really recommend subscribing to the YouTube channel. You'll get to learn a lot about human health, nutrition, stuff that no one's teaching you. You learn why no one should really be afraid of the coronavirus and how you can protect yourself and take care of your immune system. But thank you so much, all of you, for being here. I can see Upasana is saying I registered and shared it with my friends also. Thank you so much, Upasana. It's people like you that help us spread our word. I absolutely love doing this, and I absolutely love interacting with live audiences. So now we're going to end it, and then we're going to eat all this yummy food. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. All right. Bye bye.